Welcome to this session about, what are we talking about? Hospitality, recruitment and retention. So I've been thrown off balance now. I don't need you commenting. I'm really sorry, we weren't aware how small this screen would be. So you might want to move a little bit forward because a lot of the data that I'm going to be putting up there is going to be on that screen and you aren't going to be able to see it. However, I'm also going to give you a QR code at the end and you can, what do you do with that? Take a picture of that and then that will lead you to the survey that I'm going to talk about today. So first of all, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Katy Moses. I'm founder and MD of CAM. We are a research and insights consultancy specializing in the hospitality industry. And we have teamed up with some wonderful people, including Dawn, including Kieron, who you're going to hear from a bit later, to speak to hospitality employees and find out what do they like about working in hospitality, what about salary, what about benefits, what's going to keep them, what's going to lose them. And that's some of the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So the first thing that I want to talk about is put a little bit of context behind this research. So talking about what does the customer experience look like currently in the UK? What we're seeing, and this is research that we conducted in December last year, is that the customer experience is not as good as it should be. And that a lot of the reason behind that is the staff shortages, is the lack of employee motivation, is the lack of employees, full stop. So 25% of the people we spoke to noticed that they had that they'd been in a venue that was short-staffed over the last 3 months. 25% of people said that they had menu items that weren't available as well. And then 29% said increased purchasing prices have put me off from buying something. The fact is that the issues that we are seeing in hospitality, in recruitment, are now rubbing off on the overall customer experience, and that should be a worry to every single one of us. You'll also see there's some lovely pink arrows next to those 3 bits of data, and that's because all of those have increased month on month since we first did this research. And then once we've looked at the customer experience and realised that that could be being damaged by the recruitment challenges we're having, we also need to look at the employee experience. And what we've got here is 35% of staff leavers leaving hospitality because of antisocial hours. Now, very, very well aware of the fact that if a pub or bar or restaurant is open till 12, you've got to be there till 12, etc. But there are ways of making that more flexible. There are ways of making that work-life balance for our employees a little bit easier. 64% of people told us, this is people that work in hospitality, told us that they had been unable to give the level of service that they wanted due to staff shortages. Nobody wants to be going into a job where the job satisfaction is being affected like that. We want to go into our places of work and do the best job we can possible. And if we're being thwarted by the recruitment crisis, then that does not lead to really good job satisfaction. And that recruitment issue is then making hospitality a less attractive place to work. This particular slide here also mentions that 43% said understaffing has made them look for a different place of work. And what the worry is there, what the issue is there, is that they're not just leaving that job and staying within hospitality, they are leaving hospitality overall, and that is why we are losing some great employees. So what is driving hospitality job choice? This is some research that CAM conducted with Limba earlier on in this year. Candidate priorities, essentially. So obviously it won't come of any surprise that 53% say that pay and benefits is one of my top 3 priorities. I'd love to know who the others are. Must do it for the love of it. 52% said it works for a work-life balance, and 40% said flexibility in hours and days. And the point I want to make here is that work-life balance and flexibility means different things to different people. And I think previously in this industry, we have fallen into a bit of a trap of a cookie-cutter approach to contracts, to benefits, to salaries. And it's just not good enough anymore. We need to actually be looking at what does this particular employee want? What is going to motivate them? What is going to retain them? What is going to make them happy in their role? And I think we need to become a little bit more individual with how we remunerate and the benefits packages that we offer. So, on to the UK's largest hospitality salary survey. Didn't think I'd get through that, did you?
Well done.
So we have joined forces with some absolute titans in this industry, whose tiny little logos you'll be able to see there, but they will also be on the front page of these slides if you contact me afterwards to get a copy. Methodology, we spoke to just under 2,000 people who work in hospitality. We had a really, really good mix of people, as you can see from here. We had a good sort of different levels of experience, different employment status, whether that's part-time, whether that's full-time, whether that's, in a gig economy role. All of these areas we covered. So this is an incredibly comprehensive survey. So I would really recommend that you do somehow, I think QR code at the end, download it. The respondents were also from a really good spread across the sectors. So we had full-service restaurants, hotels, pubs, bars, clubs, fast food, etc. And we also covered all the roles, from whether it was from a KP up to a chief executive. So we really do feel that this is a reflective of the industry, and I think it will be incredibly valuable for us all to read. I want to take a quick look at salary, because there's some really interesting points here. You probably can't see that, but if you can, you'll see that where we have lost, so the salaries have increased year on year in the last 3 years, which is great news. It means that we're valuing our people a little bit more. But also where we have had the biggest drop in salary is from that low level, that naught to £20,000 a year. So that entry level position. And they have been moved, as you can see, into the 20 to 30 and etc. So what that means is we are remunerating better. And I believe that we are. And from anecdotal evidence, from other research that I've done, I believe that we are. But it isn't the be-all and end-all. And actually, when you talk to different demographics want different things. And actually, the level of pay, the importance of that does fluctuate from person to person. Salary is obviously the key candidate priority. 1 in 2 said they wouldn't apply for a job if there was no salary on it. Drives me absolutely mental. Put your salaries on your job adverts. Would you test drive a car if you had no idea how much it was going to be? No. Put your salaries on your job adverts. Stop hiding. If you're hiding them, that's suspicious in itself. And you're missing out on 1 in 2 people that want to work in your particular brand, your particular operation. Oh. Right, 62% of people, so it really, really gets I used to run a recruitment agency, and it really used to get my goat then, and it does now as well. 62% of people said that they think they get a fair salary. That was 58% back in 2020. So again, we are getting there, but I want to just keep going back to that whole, don't make it a cookie cutter approach, speak to people. What is going to float their boat? What makes them want to work for you and stay working for you, or at least, very least, stay in the industry. Let's start there. Employee benefits that are most important to them. Obviously, you're always going to see salary come out first. Whenever we do any employee study, that's always going to be there. But then you've got things like holiday entitlement, training and development sessions. And again, this goes back to the idea of different things for different people. The younger generation actually tend to want more holiday time because they want to be able to explore the world. A lot of them have what we call portfolio careers. So, they might work in your particular outlet for this amount of time, but then on a Thursday night they go here, and on a Tuesday they do art. So we've got a challenge with the younger generation coming into hospitality, which is they need that sort of quick movement. They need lots of different things going on in their lives. So we need to make sure that, again, we are putting the right benefits package together for the right people. You'll also see there that the third most important is training and development sessions. Nobody wants to stagnate in their role. Everybody wants to progress and to get the best out of themselves. And then also I just wanted to point out mentoring, which I think is becoming more and more important, especially in an industry where we have had some concerns, especially if you're looking at sort of females in the industry, etc. To have that mentor, to have someone that you can go to, and whether you're just chewing the cud with them or whether you've got a structured mentoring program, I think it's essential in this industry. You're welcome. Employee benefits that are currently available to them. What you'll see here, the pink arrow shows the change versus 2020. So what we're seeing is more food and drink dining out discounts, more flexible hours, more team building, more wellness sessions. These are all what we possibly would refer to as softer benefits, but they are what makes working somewhere pleasant. So let's look, think, I'm going to use some wanky jargon, but think outside the box, let's not just do the same old thing that we're doing over and over again. What do your employees want? What do Gen Zs want? What do Gen Alphas want? God knows. Where are we? Some benefits do get used more than others as well. So it's important to realise that. Interestingly for me, bonus and tips. So that is going up in usage. Where it says holiday entitlement, by the way, the reason that isn't 100%, because obviously everyone should have it, is the gig economy situation, which, by the way, is not a terrible thing as long as it's done right and it's what the actual employee wants. But I think also it's just interesting to see some of those softer side of things coming in more and more into the benefits that are being used. So, just to finish up. Work-life balance has risen in importance. 43% of people, however, say they work more than 7.5 hours over their contracted hours. 7.5 hours, that's a day. There's a phrase for that, and it's called taking the piss. And it is not fair, and it is not right, and it is not something that hospitality should continue to be known for, because at the moment it really is, and it's something that needs to stop. 64% of those people said they aren't paid for those extra hours. That's just illegal. So, we really need to be looking at how are we expecting to attract the best people into our jobs in this industry when we're making them work a day a week unpaid. So we need to change that. But there is some good news. We asked, as part of the UK's largest hospitality salary survey, whether people had a work-life balance. In 2020, 27% of people said, yes, I did. 51% in 2023. Wow. Go hospitality. So that is absolutely fantastic, because that is risen in importance and it's risen in presence. So that's a really positive thing. And I want to see that next year over 60%. And I think we can do it. I think we can do it if we bring a bit more flexibility into our offering. Factors that will keep people in their current role. Working with great people. Of course, hospitality is full of great people. But it's even more important to the younger generation to be working with good people. There's no such thing as a job for life now, really. And if we are going to be, if we've got all of these different options to change, especially for the younger generation, what's going to keep us somewhere? We're going to be, if we're being paid well, our benefits scheme is good. We love the people we work with. We do team building things with them. It's incredibly important. So 80% of the younger generation, let's put that in their top 3. That's massive. Career growth. That was highest in the age group of 29 to 55. So once you've kind of got in, you're starting to establish your career. It's incredibly important, again, as I said earlier, not to stagnate and to make sure that you're encouraging employees to take that training, to develop their career paths. When we look at desired changes to current roles, financial remuneration is always going to come out top. That's, if you ask somebody, would you like more money, and they say no, you probably wouldn't want them working for you because they don't sound that smart to me. But you can see, again, it's the same stuff coming up. Work-life balance, better workplace culture, flexible working. It's all that softer side that suddenly, post-pandemic, I hope we're post-pandemic, we have had a bit of a taste of. We've actually seen what can happen if we work from home on a Friday. We've seen what can happen if we've actually got the right members of staff and we can have some flexible working. Slight worry from this survey. 3 in 4 are proud to work in hospitality. That hasn't changed since 2020. So that is where we are still. And only 62% are happy in their current role. And anybody who employs anybody in hospitality should see that last figure and worry, because that is not good enough. And remember what I said, people are not just leaving their present role and going into another one. They are leaving our industry. They are becoming delivery drivers. They are working in retail. Because let's face it, it's hard working in hospitality. And if you can get the same money and you can get a better benefits package, why would you not go somewhere else when it's an easier role? Possibly, allegedly. Right, final 2 slides from me. The next 12 months, 28% of people we spoke to said that they are unlikely or very unlikely to be working in the same company in 12 months. So that is 28% that we are losing. maybe to other companies within hospitality, but more than likely leaving hospitality. It's that leaky bucket. We can do as much as we like to try and recruit people, but if we've got a hole in the bucket where people are going and they are going into other industries, then we're wasting our time. So in summary, overall salaries have increased significantly since 2020, possibly by necessity, possibly because we do need to keep people in. Work-life balance has increased in importance, but remember, a work-life balance is different things for different people. The increased number of people who have achieved a work-life balance is brilliant. I mean, it's almost twice as many, so really pleased with that. And then there's an increased desire for better financial remuneration and more of the softer side of things. But just remember that 1 in 3 are likely to switch jobs in the next 3 months. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to hand over to Dawn.
Thank you. Oh, hello.
Big round of applause.
Hello. Thank you.
What am I going over there?
Hi.
No.
Is my mic work? Oh, can you hear me? Good. So,
Well done.
thank you so much, Katy. I was meant to do that, and she stepped up, or actually I asked her, which was fantastic.
I didn't just push you out the way.
Please do it for me. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is a really, really key on-board subject at the moment, because what we want to talk about with these guys, we're going to talk about benefits, we're going to talk about salary, and they're going to be 100% honest. And any questions during the time when we're asking questions, if you want to raise your arm up, happy to come out and get somebody to ask you a question, and to these guys. Before we start, I'll introduce myself. My name's Dawn Bowstead. I am the founder of Hospitality Jobs UK, which is one of the leading hospitality job boards, advertising job boards across the UK that only advertises hospitality jobs. So that's why we're here. We were part of the survey. We were part of the survey with HIT Training. We've got HIT Training in the audience. Part of the survey with Otolo. We've got Otolo on the stage. All of us driving for one thing, is to understand what is happening in the industry and keeping in people in the industry. So before we start, I wonder if you could do an intro, starting with Roberto, then Claire, then Kieron.
Hi everyone, I'm Roberto. I'm the general manager of Wonderland Restaurant, Park Row and the Monarch Theatre in central London, in Soho.
Thank you.
I'm Clarke. I'm Interim People Director at Flatiron. We've got 12 restaurants, all in London. Our newest baby opens today in Kensington, and we're soon to open in Cambridge.
I'm Kieron Bailey.
Hello.
Hello. There we go.
There we go.
So, let's try again. I'm Kieron Bailey. I'm one of the owners and directors of Otolo. We are a hospitality and mentoring community built to elevate the careers within this fabulous industry.
And I also got Katy back on the sofa, so I'm going to ask some more questions. So I'm going to kick off with you, Kieron. So Kieron, what do you think is the salary perception of working in hospitality compared to working in retail and warehouses?
I don't think the perception's changed a great deal at all, to be honest with you. I think no matter who you ask, hospitality is very average salary opportunities, very average career opportunities. And if you ask the average person, they'll go out there and they'll have an easier life in retail and have an easier life in NHS. Even they'll feel they've got an easier life and a better paid life in Amazon. And that is absolutely insane, to be honest with you. For me, we have got so much work to do to alter that perception when there are amazing people like Flatiron doing stunning things with the way that they remunerate their people, that we're not telling that story well enough, is a simple answer.
So how do you think the increase in salaries since COVID has affected the hospitality sector?
It's a difficult one because the simple reality is it's tough in hospitality right now. We all know it. Costs and expenses are going through the absolute roof. Government's doing very little to help us out in the way that they can. So we've got this massive challenge right now of we're doing well, we're paying people better salaries, of course we are, but are we telling that story well enough, far and wide? I'm not sure, if I'm honest with you. Situations like this, the salary survey is an amazing tool to actually start to tell that story better, getting people who are doing very cool things up to talk about it. I mean, my days as an operator are well behind me. I've got the knees of a 90-year-old man, but as an operator, I wanted to make sure I told those stories about how well we were treating people. Salary is, for me, if I'm going to be brutally honest, salary, it was number one on the list of benefits that people think that they've got. Salary is not a benefit. Holiday is not a benefit. It's just what we need to be doing well. That's as simple as it can be. So I think the raise, yes, it's good. We're keeping some people. 62% of people are happy and they're going to stay with us. That's amazing. 38% of people are not, and they're thinking about a change. So what else do we need to look at to do better to really kind of persuade people that this is the place to be?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm really worried about this sort of 1 in 3.
So worry.
It's scary, and obviously what's happened with COVID.
Who's leaving? Who's leaving right now?
Not yet,
Come on.
not yet.
I'm not leaving. I'm going
Yeah. Well,
That's off.
Well,
I'm going to get a coat.
I'm here recruiting for Amazon today.
I'll take you down right now.
This leads nicely on to you, Claire. Actually, Mike seems to be coming in and out, so apologies. What benefits do you have at Flatiron, or do you think that most important are to teams at the moment?
Okay, so I mean, I've been on a few panels lately, so apologies if you've heard this a few times, but it's really, really interesting because benefits such as holiday, pay, mental health first aiders, EAPs, pension, trunk, you know, they all seem to be the norm offering, you know, free meals on shift or employee discounts. So how do we differentiate ourselves by giving different benefits? And it was really interesting on the survey that Katy just did. You know, the top 3 are holiday, salary, discounts, but the number 4 was around training and development. So we at Flatiron, we put some really big influences into training and development. We have clear career progressions for our teams, and I think it's really important that we also show, you know, we showcase ourselves. So we do great parties, we do supplier trips, and we do pay overtime, tick. But I think, you know, along with the training and development, it's providing a very, very fair and inclusive place to work for all our teams, that they can feel that they can be part of a big thing and actually that they belong to something, as well as being part of an expanding company.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that could be making people leave the industry, where they don't think their business is going to survive after 6 or 12 months.
We're finding as a job board that most people are putting their benefits at the top now. And absolutely, you're right, 1 in 2. The people that don't advertise and put their what the salaries are, people instantly think it's really low salary. Well, actually, you could be paid some amazing salaries. Roberto, what about tips? Are they classed as a benefit, or is it classed as an expectation?
I believe tips are classed as a benefit more than an expectation. I do not think that employees should be working for tips. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think you should consider tips as the cherry on the cake. First of all, depending on the department where you work, if you're in the back of house, in the front of house, obviously there is a different percentage of sharing tips.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be motivated by the extra £10 that you get from the table. You should be motivated. I believe that's the operator's fault, because as an operator, you have a duty of care towards your staff. You should motivate them not only financially, but you should motivate them in many, many different ways. And as I said, tips should be just classified as a cherry on the cake. Let's go and have a drink after work if we get those extra 10 quid.
And what about shift patterns?
Yeah.
Do you think that is retaining staff, or
Yes,
do you
it
think
is.
are people changing the way they do their shift patterns at the moment?
We have changed our way of scheduling rotas accordingly. The new generation, the mentality has completely changed since the pandemic. So we, as a business, we need to adapt to what the people want, what the staff needs.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
Kate was saying before, on a Tuesday they might have the art class, on a Wednesday they might have a different type of class or whatever they might have. So you need to be able to model your rota accordingly to the people you work with.
And I want to talk about benefits again, Claire. So what do you benchmark what you are paying your staff to ensure your salaries and benefits are competitive?
Stalking our competitors.
Oh,
It's a
right.
simple
So
thing.
do you do that? Do you,
Yeah. And when they choose to write salary on an advert,
Yeah.
it's great. But when they don't, it's really annoying.
I might be able to
Yeah.
help you out there.
Yeah. it literally is. I mean, there's 2 things. It's one, looking at the ads. It's one, you know, and being part of a hospitality community and sharing a lot of
Yeah.
best practice, some great benefits. and, you know, just generally being open and transparent.
Yeah.
But it's also listening to our teams. So whether they're coming to us for an interview, you know, we listen to what their salary expectations are if they're not as per the ad. You know, what benefits are you looking for? And then we regularly survey our teams. So it's talking and listening to them and having that kind of two-way up-down conversations that we're having with them.
So I'm going to throw a bit of a... I'll go for it.
I just think it's really interesting. If you think about the values that operators will put out there, their key values, most of them will have openness and transparency in the top 3.
Yeah.
And then not have their salary
Yeah.
on their job
Oh, that's
titles.
bullshit. I mean, sorry, it's just wrong. You're telling a lie straight away. You're just disconnecting from your audience. And these people who are looking at jobs, they're not just potential employees, they're potential customers, they're potential guests. So immediately you're disconnecting yourself from them without even trying. And then you get into an interview and you say, openness and transparency are in our top 3 values. And they look at you and go, really?
Yeah.
Honestly?
Well, that's if, the 1 in 2 that actually bothered to apply for the job.
Boom.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to carry on with top talent. So what do you, or how do you think companies should reward top talent? And I'm going to throw that out to all of you. I know you guys haven't been briefing that. What do you think you should be rewarding top talent? How should you be rewarding them? Is it all about money? Is it about benefits? What is it?
It's definitely not about money. Money is good. Money makes the world go round. It keeps us all moving, pays our bills. But it's not the thing that gets us up in the morning.
Yeah.
It's not the thing that kind of pushes through when the day is hard. The challenge is just feels insurmountable. Money's not the thing that's going to do that. The thing that's going to do that is how do I feel? Am I connected with? Am I listened to? Am I heard? Do I feel seen? If I don't feel heard, seen, or paid attention to, you know what? I'm probably going to bugger off and look for a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we as operators, we as an industry, Roberto, you said kind of you had to change the way you operated. No. We as an industry need to step up and change the way that we operate collectively and do better at this. So you've got to look at what's important to the people who are walking through your doors. Learning and development is going to be one of those top things. It's just a fact of life. They all want to nobody wakes up and thinks, today I'd like to be the same as I was yesterday. Or to when I go to bed tonight, I would not like to have progressed any further. It doesn't exist. Everybody, all of us have got some semblance of a driver in us that says, I want to push and do better. That's always our objective.
Yeah.
So what can you do? What can you do to say, actually, I'm going to engage with you as a person. What's important to you? Well, you know what? You can start asking questions and then genuinely listen to the answers and do something with it. Yeah. If you don't do that, you've got yourself a problem.
Yeah, I think if you don't have that information to hand as well, then you've got another problem. If you're not doing any kind of annual, or I would say even 6-monthly employee engagement study, you know, if you're not listening to the people that you're employing, then there's no way you can react in the right way to what they need.
I was going to ask you about that because I don't believe that many companies do internal employee engagement surveys. Do you think this should happen more often, or are they afraid of the results? Why don't they do it?
This is good. Thank you for asking me that question.
That's a pleasure.
First of all, I do run a research agency, so that's good anyway. But listen, I don't care. Don't use us, use someone else. Do not do it internally. Because if you're doing it internally, people are, whether you can say it's anonymous, you can say, there is no way any employee goes, yeah, I reckon I'm pretty safe here, actually really says what they feel.
Yeah.
Get an external consultancy to do it for you. Get them to anonymise the data. Get them to present back to you and actually look at what other companies that they've worked with. Maybe do some benchmarking. Maybe speak to your consultant and say, I'd like to benchmark against these people. Let that consultant go to those companies and say they want to benchmark. Why don't you guys all get together?
Yeah.
It's about actually asking people's opinion, listening to it, and also you can't lead the witness if you're independent. So whereas if you're actually doing it as a company sponsored, a company internal project, and then just finally on that as well is anyone worth their salt in research will know how to phrase things, how to ask questions, and then how to turn that into an actionable piece of research. So here is what everybody's saying. Here is what I think you should do. Here's what we're seeing in other areas of the industry. Getting into that granular detail is absolutely imperative.
And if I can just add on, if you are running a survey and you're in the top team, you've got to be prepared to take action on the answers. don't just run the survey just to tick a box and say
Put
we've
it in
run
the
an
drawer,
engagement.
And to accept
And then
criticism.
8 out of 10 of our employees have
Yeah.
answered it and they're all engaged. Yay, whoa, that's another thing for 6 months.
Yeah.
Take some actions from the results.
Well, you were now before Flatiron. You were people director at the Big Table Group, which had 7,000 employees. Did
Tiny
you
business.
used to do surveys internally there or externally? Internally,
We
or?
did do maybe 1 or 2
Yeah.
external surveys,
Yeah.
but again, it was, and this was pre-COVID, so we were just
Yeah.
about to run one pre-COVID, and I don't know what happened then. But it was. Yeah, you kind of tick a box, you put it in the board report, and then it gets forgotten about for 6 months.
I think any form of survey, no matter how good or bad, as long as it's constructive and it's dealt with, you say, again, an external person. Roberto, I want to talk about, what do you do with top talent? How do you reward top talent in where you are?
Again, hospitality is a people business.
Yeah.
And in terms of reward, as Kieron said, it's not only financially. Obviously, it is important if you reward them with a good salary at the end of the month. But it's all about how you let them feel within the work environment. If you empower them, if you train them, if you let them feel that they're actually building something within their career, and they can actually reach a high position, a good work-life balance, because it used to be the long 17, 18-hour shift with the 5 doubles in a row with the big purple eyes. It's not anymore. Hospitality is a fantastic industry to work. The adrenaline, the passion, and the people that you meet. I think if you mix those together, you can. That's how you reward your employees, I believe.
So, is there any companies that you admire for their benefits and what they give out?
Wonderland.
Yeah. Apart from your own.
No, Flatiron does
simple,
quite
didn't
well.
Yeah.
Flatiron, you guys do quite well.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big boys like your Caprice is doing quite well as well in terms of awards.
But I think it goes back to what matters to us might not matter to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any one hospitality company that's got it completely right for their entire workforce.
Yeah, correct.
I think something we could do, which is actually, it avoids that cookie cutter approach, but it doesn't overcomplicate things internally, is just have a menu of all the benefits that people can choose, associate, put points against each one of those benefits, tell someone, right, you got 20 points, how you use them is up to you.
Yeah.
And then you're actually empowering your employees to make their own decisions as to what's going to motivate them.
Yeah.
That's actually a
And
good
I,
idea.
yeah,
You're
and
welcome.
I think depending
You can
on
have that one for free.
I like that.
And I think depending on your age, your benefits are different, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm talking about is pensions. And it's pensions. And what am I doing in my investment? Yeah, 20 years ago, it may have been, I want as much holiday as I can get because I want to go away on holiday or money.
Exactly.
So I think you've got to move with the times and constantly review it, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think the reality is that everything has changed. People's expectations have changed. Gen Z, millennials, Gen Alpha. Call them snowflakes if you want. They are the most disciplined collection of people you'll ever meet. They will walk through your door. They will tell you what they want, what they expect, and what they will accept. When I was a boy at 20, I took my first business at 21. I just said, thanks very much, I'll take the job. The only job interview I ever turned down who offered me a job was they said, you've got to cut your hair to take this job. That's the only time I turned it down. Other than that, I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll do what you need me to do, absolutely.
Yeah.
Today, that's not the world. That's not the world that they're living in. So stop calling them snowflakes, start accepting the fact that they know what they expect, they know what their world is and what their value is, and then let's start delivering against that. That is what we need to be looking at.
Do they,
Whilst also looking after the Gen Zs and the Gen Ys and the Gen Xs.
Of course, I mean,
do they
as a
still
solid
ask
Gen
you-
Xer, I'm all on board with that. Protect me.
Kieron, do they still ask you to cut your hair?
Did they still? I rejected the job and they said, thanks very much, unless you cut it, you're gone.
There's a reason that Kieron and I both only work for ourselves. We're totally unemployable anywhere else.
Those days are gone.
Ditto,
That's why
I
we're
would
the
say that
boss.
as well. Can we talk about retention a little bit here? Because I know with the salary survey, 1 in 3 people are leaving. How can we keep them with us? How do you think we should do that, Kieron? What do you think? I know what you guys are doing, but what do you think we should be doing to retain people into the industry?
I think the reality is everything that we do at Otolo is about helping you to retain your people, because that's the challenge. Everyone's spent loads of time talking about how we can recruit new people and good people. Start thinking about how you retain the ones that you've got. Love the one you've got.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. Do that and you're away. So I read some research this morning that 84% of Fortune 500 companies offer a mentoring program. 100% of Fortune 50 companies offer a mentoring program that engages their people. They're looking at how do we keep those people within our business? Well, they're giving them the tools, they're giving them the opportunities. Mentoring has changed so much, the view of it, the perception of it. When I was a little boy starting out, I just figured that it was for the senior people to have mentors. It wasn't for somebody who looked like me. That's not where it was. Today it is. Today it's out there for everybody. And I would look at every person in this audience and say, you're a mentor to somebody. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to look at the opportunity. Maybe we need to look and say, how can I help that next generation?
Well, I know I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Never afraid.
You talk about mentoring programs, but what is a mentoring program? What is it? What does mentoring mean?
What does mentoring mean? Mentoring is about kind of sharing your experience, sharing the tools that you've developed over the years. For me, it's really simple. The pain that I've been through in my career, I'm going to share that as much as I possibly can to make your life easier
Correct.
on your journey. That's it. There cannot be any secrets. There cannot be, I'm going to keep this to me and I will be successful and I will maintain my position. No, it's about sharing everything that you've learned throughout your career. So a good mentoring program, it's got order, it's got goals, it's got objectives, it's got very clear deliverables. It's not just a chat and a cup of coffee. A lot of us in our businesses will do that already. To turn that and elevate it into a really well-established mentoring program, all it needs is a bit of documentation, it needs a little bit of control, and it's there for you. All of you will have somebody being mentored within your business. It's just probably unofficial. You can start to create that, bring it some order. We're really lucky, we've got this really cool platform that you can go in and you can do your video calls through, you can log your objectives, your goals, you get some reminders. I have a mentor and our platform sent me an email on Sunday to say, Kieron, you are behind with your objectives. I felt like I was being judged. I felt like the world was turning against me. I mean, I pay for that thing, yet still it's judging me. But that's a really useful tool. So for me, having that order, having that discipline about what it looks like becomes incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Could I just add as well into that? I mentor 3 women, and I started mentoring about 6 years ago, and I'm also an Otolo mentor. Very proud to be so. We sometimes get caught up in what the mentee can learn. Yeah. It's also what can we learn from them. Yeah. And actually, if we're talking about understanding maybe a younger generation and what are their motivators, then we need to be talking to those people. And actually, I have learned so much from the 3 women that I mentor that I then take back into my business. Reverse mentoring is just as important.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, I've been running my own business now for 14 years, and for 14 years, I've had the same mentor. He's very senior and he's absolutely amazing, but he also tells me as it is. And I just pick up the phone to him and I just turn around and say, what do you think about this? And he's always, why are you doing it? It's always why?
Yeah.
And it's actually really just question, and it saves me sometimes a hell of a lot of time. I'm going to quickly push back to benefits, and I've got one more question to ask all 4 of you. Is the benefits, Claire, have you seen a change in the type of benefits employees are looking for?
I think it goes back to what we've already discussed today. There's a workforce of multi-generations. They all want something different.
Yeah.
With that training and career progression is probably coming out as the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And we did run an internal engagement survey. We didn't use an outside agency, but that was one of the things out of it that they were telling us. They want clear progression. Yeah. They want to know what's in it for them, no matter whether they're 18 and this is their first job to women of a certain age. But it is all about the training and development, and also it's one. And I repeat what I said earlier about that being in an expanding company. Yeah. And they've got that career security as well as financial security.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask all of you the question. I'm going to start off with you, Katy. Do you think hospitality is just surviving, or do you think hospitality is growing?
Oh, that's not an easy one, Dawn.
No, it's not. But my last question.
Okay, I think that it will mean different. So first of all, surviving and thriving, they'll mean different things to different people. Yeah. I also think that different areas in hospitality are getting it a bit more and therefore are being more successful. If you look at, for example, the growth in competitive socializing, those guys are doing it right. Their footfall drivers are phenomenal. Their figures that they're putting out are phenomenal. you know, if we look at areas like that, but then we can look at other areas that are having a little bit of a resurgence. If you look at maybe leased and tenanted pubs, for example, that is coming back into fashion, because if you're having a really good community pub, people are staying more local, etc. post-pandemic. So I think that some areas are surviving and some areas are growing and doing well. And I think that a big difference as to how as to which camp you fall into is whether you're doing all the things that we've been talking about today. And that's what I'd say.
Roberto, do you think you guys are booming? So what about the rest of the industry? It's
at the moment it's survival mode, I believe.
Okay,
at the moment,
honest,
I believe it's survival mode, because what we've been speaking about, and we've been speaking about for the last couple of years, things have changed. So all of us, we push the reset button, and we are starting again with new mentality, with new people, with new standard as well.
And that's exciting,
and
right?
that's super exciting. That's why we will get there again in a couple of more years. But at the moment, we are just surviving, I believe.
I mean, I look at some of the pub companies, and I looked at like Wetherspoon's closing pubs down. I looked at the Marston's, and mainly on the pub sector. Also looked at retail over the weekend, the amount of retail sites that are closing down. But on a positive note, Flatiron are growing. You've got a new site today in Kensington. It's all very positive for you guys, is it?
Yeah, and I think, it's great that we're in a growing business. And I think as a industry, we need to be shouting about the good things that we're doing so much more.
Yeah.
So, yes, a lot of businesses are unfortunately just on the survival level. But let's talk about the growth stories. Let's talk about the career progression. Let's talk about all the really, really positive things that we're doing, rather than keep, almost pushing the negative press out.
Yeah. I think, there was a survey where people that were taking hospitality qualifications, only 28% wanted to come into hospitality, and this is current news, coming into hospitality. 28%. Where is the other 62% going?
Banking.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So have I done that right? 28 or 70?
No.
72.
Yeah.
God, that's why they're all leaving hospitality. Jesus, don't ever put me behind a till. Kieron, I'm going to end it with you. Then any questions in the audience? Do you think that hospitality is surviving or growing?
I think in pockets it is absolutely thriving. I think as a bigger picture, it is just surviving. And I think there's many things that we can do to make that better. The biggest thing we can do to make that better is to realize that our voice, united, is the strongest voice. We employ 3.2 million people in this country. We're the third largest employer in this country. It's insane. Yet we fight our battles in pockets, in corners, in silos. We need to stop that. Everybody who's doing good work, UKH, Caterer.com, bloody Hospitality Rising, UK jobs, hospitality jobs.
Hospitality jobs UK.
I was getting to you. But there's a load of very cool people doing loads of very cool stuff, but in really small pockets, and they're not kind of coming together to raise that voice, elevate that voice, and have ourselves heard. Because when our voice is heard, we are powerful. We are powerful. So we need to do that. No mucking around.
I can't agree more. Here at Hospitality Jobs UK, we're launching an initiative called HUE, which is Hospitalities and Universities United. And that's putting all universities together across the UK and talking about the benefits of working in hospitality. We're launching another initiative called Hospitality Forces. We're bringing all those forces, 16,000 people leave the forces every year. Where are they going? 0.08% come into hospitality. I'm going to change that. My team's going to change that. Before we go any further, is there any questions in the audience that you'd like to ask these guys? Okay, there's one at the front. Sorry, get you running there.
It's always the one at the front.
Hi, I wanted to ask you, Claire, isn't it? 2 or 3 questions.
No. You haven't got the time.
Come on, get a brew.
Are you seeing a drop in staff turnover from your strategy? 2, are you seeing greater consistency in revenue? And 3, who drove the change at Flatiron?
Okay, so are we seeing a drop in staff turnover?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. So, I mean, I joined the business in end of September, and our 90-day turnover was quite hard. So we were bringing people in. They weren't used to hospitality. They weren't used to the busy kitchens. They slowly leave. So I very quickly brought an L&D manager in to start investing in induction, and we've kind of nailed that. And actually, it brings our overall turnover down. So sorry, what was the second question?
Revenue, consistency of customer coming
I've
back,
seen an increase.
Consistent.
Yes.
increasing.
Yes.
And third, who drove the change?
I think that's our people have driven the change.
Not the boardroom.
Sorry?
Did the owners change the people strategy?
I mean, we're as much as we're a founder-led business, it is very kind of a collective decision on how we, so I don't know if you know Flatiron at all. It's a very, very simple menu. You come in, you have a cup of popcorn, you have a choice of maybe 4 things on the menu, all of them steak, and then you go home with an ice cream. So it's very simple. So it's appealing to those people that want to come in, have something to eat, leave within 45 minutes. The dwell time is really short, and we as a business haven't seen that awful cliff edge that you get in January, February. We've been, I guess, one of the outliers in terms of sales and performance.
Consistency.
Is that because your menu is simple? I mean, because you go to some restaurants and it's such a long menu, you just don't know where. Is it because people go in there, they know they're going to get steak, they're going to have a big steak and they're out?
I don't think it is, Dawn, because you look at someone like Dishoom.
Yeah.
There's still queues. There's many queues out the door at
yeah.
Dishoom as there is at Flatiron, and there's,
huge menu.
and
yeah.
you look at someone like Loungers as well, huge menus. There
Okay.
isn't, and these businesses that I'm just quoting, that they've got the customer experience right,
Yeah.
and it is all about the guest experience at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
All 3 of those brands have got amazing cultures. That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All of them
Yeah.
I've seen as
Yeah.
being great
Yeah.
examples of
Yeah.
businesses who've got amazing cultures.
Yeah, when you're
That's the
talking
answer.
about great businesses, you are generally talking about businesses with great culture. That's
Yeah.
absolutely the case.
Is there any other questions?
Hello, Kieron. Question for you. You talk about the silos and all the amazing things that people are doing. Do you think maybe there should be some kind of government intervention or something from Parliament? Because we know we've got UKH and all the great stuff that they do, but something that's more central, that's governized in terms of the way the industry is moving forward, like a secretary for hospitality or something like that.
Tried that before, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a challenging answer for me, because I wouldn't trust this government to take us from one room to another. Is a simple answer. I just wouldn't. But yes,
I'm with him.
Do I think there should be a hospitality minister? Absolutely, yes, I do. Do I think it's a person who understands the industry? Yes, I do. So not just some.
And maybe not party political as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it should
Have
be
an
absolute-
independent
It's
hospitality
one of those
minister.
czars or something.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Hospitality
I don't
czar.
want any other connection to
Well,
Tory
it can't-
MPs. Thank
there
you
can
very
only
much.
be one agenda. There can only be one agenda.
Yeah.
It is making hospitality better, making it stronger, and securing the jobs that we provide and the jobs that we will provide going forward.
And the
That should
tax
be-
that we then make the
Oh my
government.
God! I mean,
and
the
the
tax.
and the
I mean, we can talk about VAT.
Yeah.
Should we talk about VAT if you
I
want?
don't know if we should do. I want to leave on a high. I want to leave on a high. So I'm going to say thank you to my panel. If you're looking
Thank
for someone to do an internal insights survey, Katy's your woman. If you're looking for a new people director in June, Claire's your lady. She comes to the end of her contract and she's amazing. And if you're looking for someone to do mentoring, you need to speak to Kieron.
And we all need to go to his restaurant.
You'll come for dinner.
Because the first time you look at going to a restaurant, he's offering us all a discount. And if you're looking to advertise on Hospitality Jobs UK, come see my team. But thank you so much.
Thank
We're a
you.
one-stop shop.
Thank you.